Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. I gotta tell you that, to me, the world of crypto right now feels in many ways similar to how it felt in 2019. Because in 2019, you could say, even early parts of 2020 in particular, like, crypto was dead. I mean, not that there weren't like relatively speaking large communities. Like the XRP community was always there. For example, there were always the Bitcoiners out there. They were there, but in dramatically reduced numbers compared to the previous bull cycle. So if you think the end of 2017 into early 2018, it was just dead. I mean, you're talking. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 15, maybe 20% of people on the high end that were paying attention after the bull run. So by the time 2019 comes around, it's Deadsville. And that's the thing. That was the most important time to pay attention. Almost nobody was paying attention, but that was the most important time. And I'm just telling you, right now, several years later, to me, it feels like a comparable moment, which is why I've said recently a number of times, and it's worth repeating, this is the most important time to be paying attention. So kudos to you for paying attention. Whatever you're doing, at least you're paying attention to the world of crypto, because all the Wayfair fans are coming back. They're certainly going to be coming back, and then they can purchase from you presumably at much higher prices, right? Because they're not paying attention right now. They're not doing the hard work, and they're not aware of what's going on. And maybe they're not purely because of emotions. I get it, but anybody that's paying attention regularly to crypto now, then that may be you listening to this. I mean, if you're still paying attention now, presumably, like, you probably are hyper interested compared to the typical person. But that's good. That's a benefit. That's a strength that you have that others wouldn't. But I just got to ask you, and just be honest with me here. What do you think's going to happen with XRP in the future, price-wise? What do you actually think is going to happen? Is it going to go to zero? Is it just going to flutter around here around 50 cents for eternity? Or is it at some unknown point in the future going to hit a new freaking all-time high? What do you think is most probable? Because although I don't make price predictions, just to be clear here, I do believe in this idea of history, even if not literally repeating itself, at least rhyming with itself here. And I do believe that you're going to have seriously big things happen in relatively short order, and it's going to be like the opening of the floodgates. And I'm going to share with you some of those things because I'll tell you this. I firmly believe, and we've been talking about this a lot lately over the last couple months or so, we're going to have a spot Bitcoin ETF. I know it hasn't been approved yet. It's coming for a ton of reasons I've been talking about. Not that I want to rehash all of that. But we got word that ARK Invest, major firm, just filed for a spot Ethereum ETF. Well, how about that? And this isn't my own unique idea. I think everybody just realizes at this point there's going to be all sorts of spot ETFs for various cryptocurrencies, and I do believe there will be one for XRP at some point in the future. It's coming. I mean, hell, XRP has legal clarity. So I'm really not particularly worried about this. Now, in the short term, XRP, people are not so thrilled. XRP's 49 cents at the time that I'm recording. It's just a hair below 50 cents, frankly. You got Bitcoin at $25,804. Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 41 out of 100. So the market's still in fear. But again, it's the same type of vibe 2018, 2019, even parts of 2020. People are just afraid. And see, that's a time to be excited. That's why I'm excited right now. Because I can see what is going to come in a general sense here. With all this open, and XRP now having legal clarity, my God, it is no longer shackled. What the hell do you think is going to happen here? And so there was this headline here, which sounds negative. XRP plots next actions amid unexpected slump in user count. And so look, I want to address this. I don't think that this is a big deal, but it reads in part as follows. They're talking about data from Sentiment, on-chain analytics firm, big fan of them. They wrote here, the Sentiment data showed that the number of active users, we're talking about XRP here, of course, has dropped from 539,000 on September 1st to 497,000 at the time of writing. Okay. And then they go on to cite that, this is an indication of waning interest in XRP after the ruling from Judge Torres on July 13th, XRP Victory Day. Okay, so XRP is where it is. And if there's less activity, what do you think that might mean? It means that there's less buying and less selling and probably just a lot less volume across the board. And frankly, that's what we're seeing right now. XRP volume is back to where you would normally see it roughly before the July ruling from Judge Torres. It's at $704 million. It's just the same as it was before. But I still believe, so volume's back to where it was, but what about price? price is higher than it would otherwise be. And I wanted to mention this too because the other day, I don't know if it was 1 or 2 days ago, I was sharing some data from this firm called Kaiko, and it just happens to be the case that the day after I talked about that, crypto media's talking about this rather extensively, actually. They wrote a bunch of articles about this. And I just wanted to mention it again because this data is talking about XRP not performing so well as other coins in August. Here you can see from the Crypto Basic, XRP drops 26% in August, and they go into highlight how other coins didn't drop quite so much. There's a separate article from the Daily Hodl entitled in part, "Here's What's Behind XRP's Price Decline," yada, yada, yada. And they're both highlighting the same data. It's from this firm called Kaiko. And what I wanted to highlight here is it's an arbitrarily selected data point. I mentioned this a couple days ago, but that's why, since it's all over again, I want to mention it one more time just real quick here. If you select a different data point, let's say July 12th, the day before the SEC v. Ripple case, we got a ruling from Judge Torres the day before that. If you look at where Bitcoin is now, Bitcoin's down 15% roughly, a little over that, I think, from July 12th. And then if you look at XRP, XRP is up. And when it was at 50 cents, I know that the calculation was it was up like 6%, so maybe a little bit less than that, but it's up. So you can just arbitrarily select a data point. And I just want to point out, this doesn't mean that there's something horrifically wrong with XRP. The reason XRP didn't see a new all-time high after the positive news, you want to put it in the most simple terms? I can tell you what it is. Insufficient demand. Who's paying attention to crypto right now? What was I saying at the start of this video? Almost nobody's paying attention to crypto right now, even though it's the most important time to pay attention. And everybody will come back. It happened several years ago, too. Several years ago, I said they're going to come back, and we're going to have $1 trillion market cap, and that multi-trillion dollar market cap. Both those things have already happened, and we're back down a bit because, retracement. But it doesn't matter. So the demand is the issue, but there's nobody here. So who's paying attention to crypto? Well, not that many people. Markets aren't that hot right now. So when we got the positive news specifically for XRP, yeah, it went up, but it was the people paying attention to crypto that put the money in. It's not like there were a boatload of new people, new investors coming in to invest in XRP. It didn't happen because that's not where the market is. That's not a problem with XRP. That's the state of crypto right now. And that's okay. That happens. Things are cyclical. It's not a problem with XRP. It's the market. It's just there's not demand there. It's the most simple concept ever. It really is that simple. So what do you think now that what think's going to happen now that XRP is unshackled? What happens moving forward? That's why I was asking them. No, seriously, and just be honest with me. What do you think is most probable? I know people are kind of down right now with the price being what it is, but they were several years ago, and then things went ballistic. That was a lot of fun. Well, we'll be back to that too. But I have fun even in the negative times. That's why I can tell you this, whether the price is way up or way down, I'm always going to be here, all up on the YouTubes, making these hot jams, because I love this stuff. It's my most favoriteest hobby I've ever had, talking about crypto here, all up on the YouTubes. It's fun. It really is, even in times like this. Because I know what's coming, not literally, but like in a general sense. I get it. And again, I'm probably preaching to the choir largely here, but I just wanted to highlight that. Now, as far as the, here we go. The ETF stuff. Look, that's coming, and I don't want to rehash all that. I've explained it thoroughly many times recently because it's a hot topic everybody's talking about, and for good reason. Because that's something that, when you finally get word randomly that there's approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF, which, by the way, that we're going to have a conclusion on the latest batch of applications. The latest would be March, but you could wake up any day and see that the SEC has approved it. It doesn't mean you have to wait until March. That's just the latest the SEC can extend it. So you could wake up any day and just see that, yeah, they're approved. And I think you'll see markets running wild when that ultimately happens. And I have a suspicion that we are going to see that no later than March. And I could be wrong, but it's just my for fun guess, that we're going to see some sort of approval. I think the writing's on the wall here. I'll talk more about why in a separate video. But I do believe that's coming. So you just wake up and you'll see that. And the coolest thing, though, so as fun as it'll be to see, whatever the pump is, even if it's 5%, 10%, 15%, I don't know what it'll be. It'll be something, I believe. Because I don't think that's all priced in, because it's no guarantee. Although some people have placed their bets ahead of time. I'm just saying in a general sense. But I think what's more exciting is if you just look over a longer time horizon, the implications of, people that are mostly in traditional finance having access to all of that. To me, like the implications of that over a longer time horizon, that's what's truly game-changing. So yeah, neat burst for us here in crypto. We're paying attention, and people that are in crypto start putting more of their money in, because they're paying attention. But I'm just telling you, over a prolonged period of time, that's what actually is going to matter here. And so here's the Cointelegraph headline: Van Eck ARK filings officially start clock for spot Ethereum ETFs. The race for the United States' first spot Ethereum exchange-traded fund has officially begun after new 19B4 filings by the Chicago Board Options Exchange, or CBOE for short, which will ultimately start the clock for an SEC decision. On September 6th, the CBOE filed two 19B4 applications to the United States Securities Regulator, requesting for the ARK21 shares Ethereum ETF and Van Eck Ethereum ETF investment products to be listed on CBOE's BZX exchange. In a series of tweets, Bloomberg ETF analyst James Seifert noted that as opposed to the previously submitted S1 filings, the 19B4 filings mean that the countdown for a decision by the SEC is now in motion. And so, folks, here's kind of a neat concept here. We've been waiting over a decade for a spot Bitcoin ETF. I'm pretty sure it literally was in 2013 when the first spot Bitcoin ETF was filed. We've been waiting that long. And so now we're at a point where, and I'm not the only one that thinks this, we're going to see a spot Bitcoin ETF very, very soon. And so it's just interesting to think we had to wait, potentially a decade or so for a spot Bitcoin ETF, assuming that passes, which again, I think it will. But what are you going to have to wait for a spot ETH ETF? Months? See, once things change and the floodgates open, it's like, okay, all sorts of cryptocurrencies are going to have spot ETFs, and I think that there will be one for XRP. Although I don't know, because I don't come from that type of background. I don't know what all the requirements are, and I don't know to what degree it'll be a hurdle, since Ripple is a particularly large whale. I don't know to what, because look, there's whales for every asset, but part of the concern and why Bitcoin hasn't been approved, what the SEC has alleged anyway, is the concerns of market manipulation, right? And so then they have certain surveillance features in place now that are supposed to make that concern go bye-bye. But the question is that going to be sufficient if there's such a gigantic whale as Ripple holding that much XRP? And would it be a positive factor that a bunch of it's being escrowed right now? I don't know the implications of that, but just as a layperson just sitting here, I'd just be like, I would hazard a guess that to some degree that would be a negative. Even though I personally don't care how much XRP anyone, including Ripple, holds, I just don't give a damn. I'm just guessing that perhaps the powers that be might think that that's some sort of negative here. But either way, things will get worked out. I still think there's going to be one, even if it was further down the road. And either way, and this is why I wanted to highlight this stuff. And just to be clear, I was mentioning this the other day, but I could not more seriously mean this. Even though XRP is my favorite crypto, it's the one I'm most interested in. And maybe you're like me and you care about the price action for XRP, but not as interested in Bitcoin. You should be hyper interested, even if that's the case, even if you're like me, you should be hyper interested in what's happening with Bitcoin and to a lesser degree ETH. Because in this case, there's an ETH spot ETF on the table now, right? Because Bitcoin leads the market, the asset class moves in tandem, so what happens in Bitcoin is of paramount importance to you as an XRP holder. That's why I say that. So to me, when I highlight Bitcoin, stuff that's happening in the world of Bitcoin on my channel, and I'm talking about in terms of implications of price, to me that's just as interesting as if I were talking about XRP. And I think it should be for all of us, frankly, because the asset class is tied together. To me, it's like, duh, yes, of course, it should be just as exciting. It moves in tandem. I want a bigger crypto pie here. And by the way, that's not the only thing. I wanted to highlight this too. Here you have everybody under the sun was covering this, but here's the headline from Bitcoin Magazine. FASB votes in favor of fair value accounting for Bitcoin. And so there was this tweet, now it's called a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, from Michael Saylor, of course, the founder and former CEO of MicroStrategy. They're the largest corporate holder of Bitcoin in the world, with I think something like over 152,000 Bitcoin held. And so here's what he posted. Fair value accounting is coming to Bitcoin. This upgrade to FASB accounting rules eliminates a major impediment to corporate adoption of Bitcoin as a treasury asset. And so I'm going to explain what they're talking about here in just a second here, but I just wanted to note, even if you don't care about Bitcoin, you should care about this. It's one more thing that opens up the door, more money coming into crypto, and then you know how it trickles through the system. It starts at Bitcoin, then it goes into large caps, mid caps, small caps, rinse and repeat. Attorney John Deaton said on this topic, a big reason for a company to not hold Bitcoin on its balance sheet has been removed. This accounting change will demonstrate whether there's institutional interest to hold Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. And so it is just one more hurdle. And so let's get into a little bit of the nuts and bolts and why here. In a long anticipated move, and this is from Bitcoin Magazine, by the way. In a long anticipated move, Bloomberg Tax reported that the Financial Accounting Standards Board, FASB, is set to introduce new fair value accounting rules for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. These new rules aim to provide a more accurate reflection of the market value of digital assets and bring greater transparency to the financial reporting of companies that hold cryptocurrencies. The rules, expected to be published by the end of the year, are set to go into effect as soon as 2025, but companies will be able to apply them earlier than that, the report said. And so, folks, think about this. If you're thinking about a 4-year cycle, and isn't the timing of this kind of interesting? Think about the timing of, Ripple, the conclusion of the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit. Well, specifically what matters is already concluded. XRP itself is not a security, so that just happened. And then we're going to get a spot Bitcoin ETF, presumably, not far from now. So that's happening. And now you're talking about additional accounting rules, which will make it easier for corporate America to jump in from an accounting perspective. I'm going to explain more why. But all of this is coming together. What a confluence of events. Is this not interesting? And this is when nobody's paying attention except for you, which is why I say, again, kudos to you. We all deserve what's coming to us, don't we? Right? And I think it's going to be good. And that's why I also said again, I'll say it for like a third time now, what do you think is going to happen? If you're an XRP holder, what the hell do you think is going to happen? It always seems impossible until one day you wake up and there it is. That's how it's always been in my experience in the world of crypto. Anyway, piece continues. For years, the valuation of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin has been a challenging aspect of financial reporting for companies. The volatile nature of these digital assets has made it difficult to accurately assess their fair market value. Under the current accounting standards, companies often struggled to present a true picture of their financial health as the value of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies fluctuated wildly. The FASB's move to introduce fair value accounting rules will require companies to regularly assess the fair market value of their digital assets and report any fluctuations in value as part of their financial statements. This means that if the price of Bitcoin surges or plummets, companies will have to reflect these changes in their financial reports, providing stakeholders with a more accurate picture of their financial position. And so, folks, why was it bad up to this point? And there's a reason I'm highlighting this article in particular, because I read probably, 4 or 5 different articles covering this, and none of them, except for Bitcoin Magazine, it went to the trouble to explain why this has actually been. So they said, here's what the rules will be. Like, you might be wondering, okay, what were they before that? Why was this a problem up to now? For some reason, it just made me wonder. It's like all these crypto media outlets reporting on this with authority. Did they even know what the hell they were talking about? And sometimes I think the answer is just no, actually. But here you have Bitcoin Magazine telling you why this actually matters. Here's what they wrote. The old treatment accounted for Bitcoin as an intangible asset, which meant if the price went lower than what companies bought it for, they had to take an impairment charge on their books, even if they didn't sell. But if the price went up, they couldn't receive any benefit on their books unless they sold. Now, with fair value accounting, periodically, i.e. every quarter, companies can report the unrealized gains and losses to get an actual benefit of their books, on their books, if the price of the asset increases without having to sell or capture it. This could make companies more likely to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet and become long-term holders, as they can report the appreciation without having to sell anything. Well, there you go. So it makes it easier, and as a result, with the reduced complexity, if somebody was if there's a firm that was on the edge of doing this, and then they're like, but the accounting, it's going to be a hassle. And it has been for MicroStrategy too, by the way, because there's implication in terms of buying and selling and because if you're a publicly traded company, geez. So again, it's one less hurdle. It's a thing. And so, as is typically the case when it comes to the world of crypto, there's not like one individual thing that's just going to make everything just go to the moon, so on and so forth. But the confluence of all of these things, and especially for us here in the world of XRP, yeah, this is very real. So I love seeing this because, again, sure, let Bitcoin be the king, number one in market cap. I don't know if it's always going to be, but it is right now. Let the money flow into Bitcoin because I know what happens after that. It always has, and for the indefinite future, I believe that it will continue to do so. That's fine. I just want a bigger crypto pie, folks. That's really what I want. XRP is going to get whatever it's going to get percentage-wise. But if the pie is bigger and there's more money in it, that's better for us. That's what I'm focused on. And plus, I do hold Bitcoin. I'm not excited about it, but I've been holding it since 2017. I'll continue to hold it, and yay, I guess. But really, the life-changing wealth, I think, is going to come from the altcoins like XRP out there, because there's just not that much money. I know it's a large cap coin, but there's almost no money in even large cap coins. There's almost no money in crypto. What a time to be alive. Nobody's freaking paying attention to this, but you are. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.